you, it's round 11 of AMA Supercross. Hello, everyone. Art Ekman along with, as usual, David Bailey, but a very special guest between us for this round, Jeremy Mcgrath, as Jeremy goes for a record 11th victory on the Supercross season. He's got a perfect game going already, 10 races, 10 wins. Jeremy, the opener in Orlando, you proved still that you were the man to beat. But when I think of highlights, I think of Seattle, first of all, because you had did not have the lead late in the race and were challenged.
Yeah, Seattle was one of those tough ones. Got a terrible start out there. Was way in the back, kind of finding my way around, and I passed Huffman, and he hooked right on, and we freight trained right up to the front. And I would say that's probably one of my toughest ones so far. It's he was right behind me there until he stalled it towards the end, but I think he learned definitely a lot.
Well, I thought a turning point may come, in Atlanta, where that was where your streak came to an end last year. And then in San Diego, Jeff Emig started finding his speed and getting good starts and handed you your first loss of the season in the heat race there. And then was getting good starts again in Atlanta and made you work for it a little bit. Yeah, Atlanta was a tough one also. I mean, the soft track, the conditions, you know, a lot of riders were riding really good. At San Diego, Jeff and I got into a little bumping match in the heat race there, and I think I put some fire under him. And he was on the ball at Atlanta, that's for sure. It took me a while to get around him. And then once you had the 6 in a row, that was your own best record. And then on to Daytona, a race where a lot of people didn't think that you had the stuff that it took to win. And a race that he hadn't won yet. And he didn't really have to go there and win 6 in a row, but it seemed like he wanted it pretty bad. Daytona is one of those ones where I've never really been into it. I've kind of been into the hangout mode, you know, more than the riding mode, and it showed. I mean, yeah, it showed over the years, and this year I put in some hard time testing my bike. Honda was behind me all the way, and I know what it means to them. So after my nationals last year, I mean, I wanted Daytona bad. It was special.
Can't have string without a little bit of luck along the way, but I think your fans feel that they got scared about the third lap with Emig and Hughes in front of you in Houston until Lady Luck prevailed there and gave you an easy route.
Yeah, Houston, I was in second behind Jeff. I made a clean pass on him, and I mean, coming the second lap, he went right back by me, and then Rhino put in a good move on me there. You know, he kind of slammed me in, and I was in third. Okay, I figure I'll be in third and be the smarter of the three, and all of a sudden the guys take themselves out. So what could I say but thank you?
Last week at Indianapolis was another interesting situation, though, because you got the bad start, but I felt you had more riders in front of you who could possibly win the race.
Yeah, Jeff got a great start, of course, and there was Ezra. He's been riding really good, and I was asleep on the gate last week. I don't know what happened. I just came out in 10th, and I think I was in first gear going through the whoops or something like that, and it was just terrible. So I had to work my way up, and it wasn't one of those tracks where you could just push because there were so many ruts. So it was tough. I knew that I had to get up front, and once I got in second, I was catching Jeff. I thought for sure about a second a lap, and you know, it's just I've been getting the breaks. He fell over, so. Well, you know, you've come from behind. You've been challenged late in the race from Huffman. You've won on just about every track design possible. Are you even nervous anymore on the starting line? With 5 races left, does it feel like you can just win those 2? Well, I feel that I have probably a pretty good shot at it. You know, I've 10 wins. It's surprising myself. I mean, the tracks are challenging sometimes, but they're easy sometimes. You know, it's been different each event, and I mean, I feel I have a great chance at it. I don't get too nervous anymore.
Kind of running out of time, Jeremy, but what about Tampa now? We haven't been here for a year, and 94, I believe. Yes, 94. You proved a lot of heart. You went down in a crash, finished 5th.
Yeah, Tampa here has been a tough one for me. That was the year Craig won, and I think 93 I won here, so it's been good and bad. I'm looking forward to tonight. Hopefully I can wake myself up on the starting gate, and I think it's going to take a good start.
Well, Jeremy's only a quick elevator ride away from qualifying beneath us right now, and so we wish you a lot of luck in getting back on the bike. David Bailey and I will be back along with Marty Reed as qualifying is next on AMA Supercross. AMA Supercross. Welcome back to Tampa Stadium, everyone, for the best in Supercross. As we look at the Suzuki Trap Mac, David, switchback in that turn 1 is the drastic one right off that starting stretch. Well, it's a long ways down the starting line. They'll probably be just into 4th gear, and the first corner is probably the most narrow I've seen all year. It's going to be tough to get through there. The long whoop section down there to the bottom of your screen, there's 30 whoop-to-doos, almost 100 yards long. That's going to be real tricky and a lot of block passing because the corners tonight are wide open. The qualifying procedure for Supercross has each rider running in 1 of 2 qualifying rounds, with the top 4 finishers getting the direct transfer to the main event, also getting their pick of the top gate gate positions. The rest of the field then goes on to the semifinals, where the top 5 from each get a ticket to the main. And after that, there's only one more chance at the prize money, the LCQ. 2 riders from the last chance qualifier will find themselves with the 2 final gate positions in the 20 field. Let's go down trackside. Marty Reed.
You're looking at Damon Huffman's right wrist. He's been having problems with it the last few weeks. Take a look at that, because that is a special brace that's been designed by Rollerblade. So these guys, and they've modified it. They think it's going to be the trick for him. It keeps the back portion of his wrist solid, but it allows him just enough movement to handle the throttle. If it works, you know, it may be his last chance. He's running out of races to try and catch you know who.
Well, he's run 2 races without it and has had his problems. An 11th last week and a 7th the week before. In this qualifying heat number 1 for the 250s, we've got Damon Huffman 2nd in points, Jeff Emig 3rd in points, Damon Bradshaw riding with a renewed aggressiveness. The top independent team rider, Phil Lawrence, Larry Brown and Larry Ward and Michael Brown from Honda of Troy. Kyle Lewis in here, Doug Henry in his comeback here, and Kevin Windham could be an interesting rider here today, David Bailey.
Now, he had to ride the preliminary qualifier along with his teammate Doug Henry earlier, and he was fast there. 2nd faster than I had Jeremy in practice.
Windham, coming out of the 125 ranks, of course, is in the West 125 division. So on these Eastern races, gives him a chance to try out the 250s for future superstardom. Okay, the 32nd board is sideways, and they're off. Emig, number 2 to the inside, and Phil Lawrence right on his tail. Going wide is Stevenson, and number 24, Denny Stevenson, got the slingshot out of the corner. He is in first. And cutting inside is Emig, tried to cut Stevenson off, and we've got a great battle. Emig powers by Denny Stevenson into the turn as they go to the triple.
Emig's starts lately have just been unbelievable. He's either first out of the corner or he's first after the first couple of corners. He's so aggressive in the beginning. That's what's been tough for Mcgrath. Every race, Mcgrath looking at Emig.
There you see Emig, number 2, number 24, hanging on is Denny Stevenson. On the outside, number 38, Kevin Windham, the 125 rider. He's showing great quickness.
Well, I think he's going to have nowhere to go here. But he was smart. Look at that. He cuts to the inside. He planned that perfect. There wasn't a lot of room there, and he made it work.
As far as the bubble is concerned, we're looking at Emig and Windham and then Stevenson. But here comes Damon Huffman, number 10, ripping by. Phil Lawrence is in there with Bradshaw behind them, and then the Honda of Troy riders.
Oh, this has the makings of a fantastic race. Windham versus Emig. Windham coming from the 125 class. A lot of times running the same lap times as the 250s. Here he gets his chance to prove it. And as you mentioned, Art, Bradshaw's been riding a lot more aggressive lately. He's just coming into your screen over the triple behind the leaders, but he's been a lot. He's got that tiger in his eye now.
Emig is riding with confidence. Even though he's had a couple of bad breaks, crashing while leading in the main event, he is coming back more relaxed and is looking good.
Windham here, I think, is going to be... I don't see any way that Emig can pull away from Windham. You can see already Windham's closed in. It'll be interesting to see if he can pass. Talked with Jeremy after practice, said that he thought the track was kind of one line. And we'll find out pretty soon. The way these corners are wide open, it allows these guys to go tight.
Windham going to the inside. Couldn't quite get the block on Emig and lost a little space there as Jeff got the power out of the corner.
Well, you can try to go tight like that, but you've got to make that pass stick, because if you're not up on that berm, you don't get any traction, and you saw what happened right there. He almost slid out. Denny
Stevenson still in 3rd. This would be his best qualifying effort of the year, should he hold on to that position. That's Kevin Windham, number 38, in 2nd. Number 24, Denny Stevenson behind him in 3rd. And then Phil Lawrence in 4th. Behind him, Damon Bradshaw. Remember, the top 4 riders only go to the main event out of this one. Damon Huffman is feeling that sore wrist. I can tell in those whoops as he went backward.
Well, it forces you to be precise. If he overjumps or underjumps anything, he's going to get a major impact to that wrist.
Still out in front is Emig. As we take a look at the turn before the straightaway, here's the battle. Stevenson and Phil Lawrence. They bang bikes in the corner. Lawrence behind Stevenson. So Denny still holding on. Those are great Western teammates battling it out. Oh, what a slow block pass that was.
Well, Lawrence, he got in there and did what he had to do. Last week, they got tangled up on the triple jump, and Lawrence went completely off the racetrack, had to go to the last chance qualifier. So you want to make sure that's not going to happen again here tonight.
Jeff Emig is 3 seconds out in front of Kevin Windham right now, and we'll be back with the checkered flag of our first qualifying heat right after these important words. We're back at Tampa Stadium. As you can see, 250 Supercross qualifying is underway with Jeff Emig in our field summary out in front with Kevin Windham in second, Phil Lawrence in third, and this is number 6, Larry Ward, out in front of Huffman, with Henry behind him, number 15.
These Honda of Troy riders have been getting off to pretty good starts lately. It's starting to fade a little bit. Larry Ward, though, a couple of pretty good rides in the past 2 races.
Ward currently in 4th position. And so he is on that bubble with Brown behind him. Oh, no, it's Brown and then Ward. My correction. There's Larry Ward, number 6.
Those 6s and 9s get mixed up. Last week, Brown went down. When the rider's down, it's hard to tell if that's a 6 or a 9.
Here at Tampa Stadium, we are in the rafters, and so we're going to have to be extra special careful on those.
You know, I was real anxious to see, Art, if the time that Windham lost to Emig when he tried to make that pass, he lost that little bit of time. And I thought he might have the speed to catch right back up. But Emig has held on to that lead, if anything, put a little bit more on him.
He's got a 4-second lead now, and Kevin Windham out in front. As we're looking at Phil Lawrence in third, and the Honda of Troy riders in 4th, looking for the final transfer spot right here. It's a battle between Mike Brown and Larry Ward.
Ward is the one that really came up from behind and put a couple nice block passes on guys to get himself in this position, and he looks the faster of the two, and he's going to have to be. Otherwise, it's semi #1 for him.
Still out in front is Jeff Emig, just pulling away now from Kevin Windham as we see the battle for the final transfer spot between teammates. Honda of Troy really making a good mark last year as an independent team. And then they picked up Larry Ward off the Sizzler No-Lean team.
I think
held on to Mike Brown, who's shown very well outside. Still, Mike Brown noses out in front of Larry Ward.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think this track is, for the top guys at least, a little bit difficult to pass on.
White flag lap, final lap, as the leaders have already crossed the finish line jump.
Larry Ward, you can see, just taking a little peek up that inside. He's setting that up for the final lap, and he doesn't want to have to do that to his teammate, but it's the only way he's going to get in the main event unless he can pass him somewhere else.
Didn't have quite the angle to block pass him going into the straightaway, and Mike Brown has picked up another bike length on him. Here's Jeff Emig, our leader, way out in front.
Actually, already starting to lose a little bit of time to Emig now. I mean, to Kevin Windham.
Yeah. And
it was a beautiful shot right as we went back to Emig of jumping up onto that plateau. He carried the front wheel and rode with all that horsepower off the top of that. That's the fastest way through that section, I believe. I saw these guys experimenting with it in practice.
So he's nosed up. Kevin Windham doing a nice job as Emig is looking for his 3rd heat win of the season. Jeff Emig puts another one in the books. Of course, the most famous heat victory was against Jeremy Mcgrath earlier in the season. And it is Mike Brown that takes the final transfer spot. We'll get the official lineup. And here from our winner, Jeff Emig, as Marty Reed will be moving his way over there after these words. From Supercross round number 11 in Tampa, Florida, the Suzuki Heat 1 results. 4 riders earning their way to the main event. Out of the opening qualifying round, Jeff Emig on top of the list. Marty Reed is with Jeff now.
All right, guys, I got to ask you, first off, what a great start. It looks like it's very difficult to pass out there, but the only problem you seem to have would be getting around the back markers. You had a great cannonball start there.
Yeah, you know, the Kawasaki that they've built for me lately, I mean, the thing is fast. It's just all there is to it, you know, and getting a good start nowadays, you know, in a Supercross is like 90% of the race, you know, and so, you know, I'd like to thank, Kawasaki Motor Corporation because they've really done a great job this year.
Is this a one-line racetrack right now?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I got caught up, like in a couple of, like a couple of the lappers, and I missed a couple of jumps, and it's because, because there was really nowhere else to go. But, Bridgestone tires, they've done a great job for us, and, I think that's really helping out too.
Well, guys, get ready for this because second heat, they were watching this. They know that it's going to be tough to pass. Start's going to be crucial. Okay, thanks, Marty. You've got guys like Larry Ward, Damon Huffman, Damon Bradshaw, and Doug Henry going on to the semifinal round out of that one.
Well, that's bad news for any of the privateers. They only take 5 guys out of the semi, so 4 of them are, it seems like, directly going to try to qualify into the main event there. That's going to be tough, and They even make it tough for the last chance qualifier. Some of the guys you can see right now, it's how tough it is to get off the line. You can't make those passes. So if they don't get a start there, it's on to LCQ.
Earlier in our picture, we saw Skip Norfolk becoming a masseuse as he's rubbing down Jeremy Mcgrath, trying to wake him up after our opening here tonight. Great crowd on hand in Tampa, Florida, as Jeremy Mcgrath here in heat number 2 leads it off. He has lost only twice, once to Jeff Emig and once to his teammate Steve Lampson in heat action. And in fact, both instances kind of woke him up for the main event, he said.
I think so. It gets him a little irritated when he loses, and that's unbelievable to think that he's got a little something extra he can reach down and dig up.
Ryan Hughes, we're looking at him right now, is the closest in points to Jeremy Mcgrath in this heat. Mike Larocco is also there. He's trying to salvage a dismal year. Ezra Lusk coming on strong lately in this heat.
You know, I'm really impressed with Ezra. And last week in his interview after the race, and he just sounded so happy to be on the podium and that he was really surprised that Jeremy wasn't pulling away from him. I don't think that he believes in his heart that he can beat Jeremy right now, but from what I've seen, he's got the speed to go up there and run with him and give him some problems.
Mike Larocco really trying to come back now as we look forward to heat number 2. 32nd board as yet has not appeared.
Larocco.
So, let's also run down some of the other names, David, to give the fans an indication. Brian Swink, Jimmy Button, Greg Albertine, Buddy Anthonez, Greg Schnell, Jeff Hedden, the Iron Guy, who tries to qualify both in 125s and 250s, Michael Jones, Dave Costello, Barry Karsten, another Iron Guy, a privateer who tries to make money by getting in both main events. These guys are really something else. We got to do a story on that one of these days. Well, did that happen in your day very often, trying to qualify for both?
No, it didn't. There's no way. I can't believe these guys were able to do it. At the factory level, though, I think it's a little bit different. You're looking at Ryan Hughes right now. If he was going to try to ride the 125 and the 250, that would really take its toll and take off that edge.
Well, they really don't have to make a living, you know, either. So
no, these guys are making plenty just riding one class.
Yes, I think it's not as known as a lot of sports how much money these top riders are really making, David.
Well, Jeremy's hogging all the bonus money, though. That's what you can guarantee these other guys are tired of that. They need to get up there and get some wins.
Some guys can wear clothing and get $80,000 a year if they're up in the top 5 or 6 or 7.
Good look at Mcgrath right there, pulling off one tearaway just to make his vision a little clearer. You can see he's lined up from his view pretty close to the inside. I think that's going to be the key tonight, especially in the main event. All those crashes and problems kind of happen towards the outside.
Do you have time for strategy in this first turn as they start revving them up? We'll get to that answer in a moment, David Bailey. And they're off. Jeremy Mcgrath noses out in front. Number 34 is Ezra Lusk. Ezra Lusk going wide. Jeremy cutting inside, and he cut Ezra off. That was the strategy I was going to ask about, David.
Whatever the strategy is, you can bet Jeremy's got it. He jumps almost completely over that plateau. He's already got a big lead, and Mike Larocco, you might have seen, was stuck in the gate. He's running dead last right now.
A great battle for second place as Brian Swink has moved in front of Ryan Hughes and Greg Albertine. And Lusk has fallen all the way back to 5th spot. There's Brian Swink, number 23, David.
Yeah, one mistake in this opening lap, and you got 4 or 5 guys getting around you. That may make the difference in qualifying out of the heat or not.
And we heard from Emig how difficult it is to pass to get back up.
Well, Mcgrath was saying as well that it was so important. Look at this. All the guys behind him aren't able to do that triple. That's going to allow him to get away even more. But you saw Ryan Hughes had to use that inside. It's not as fast, but he had to go there because these corners are wide open. Unless you have a lead, you got to protect that inside, which is slower, and Mcgrath's going to continue to pull away.
Ryan Hughes now moving in front of Brian Swink. Ryan Hughes, the Kawasaki rider, number 5, has had moments of brilliance. Now, Jeremy's got such a lead, he's showboating for the fans a little bit as he goes over the triple there.
Well, that's a pretty scary thought. First lap of the race, he's already having a good time out there. Hughes, though, I think he's got a lot of speed. He's fast in the whoop section. There he goes by. Swink is he's quick, but he's kind of patchy. He's fast here, and he makes mistakes there, and I think he may hold up the show behind Hughes and Jeremy.
4-second lead for Jeremy Mcgrath on our field summary as Brian Swink comes over the finish line in 3rd place behind Ryan Hughes. Then it's Greg Albertine. We don't really have a battle yet as Ezra Swink, or Ezra Lusk, I should say, is trying to come up on the 4th place Suzuki teammate, Greg Albertine.
What we've seen so far a lot this year is Greg Albertine having it very fast, but having a tough time keeping that bike upright. And, you know, sometimes when a rider falls 3 or 4 times in a row, you start worrying about it when you're behind him. You wonder if he's going to keep it upright. You don't know where to go.
So these are the rest of the 250 hopefuls looking for a position at the gate. And we'll be back with the conclusion of heat number 2 after this short break in the action. Rejoining Supercross qualifying in Tampa, Florida in heat number 2. 4 more riders looking to qualify for the main event. And one rider who's having to really push it right now after another bad start is Mike Larocco, number 8. May I say Jeremy Mcgrath is way out in front here in the qualifying heat. But Larocco must, well, he was as far back as 15th when they started counting.
Right, well, he's moved up pretty good. I think he's up. You know, he's getting himself inside the top 10. I think qualifying for the main event is going to be difficult, though.
Let's go down to Marty Reed. Marty.
Guys, we were down in pits earlier today, and the clutch was all apart. And I asked Mike Sr., his dad, who works on it, what's going on. He says, oh, we're just getting ready for the race. But when it came time for the start of that race, it was the clutch that gave way. He stalled the bike. Obviously, they're still trying to figure that Suzuki out. They've made a ton of changes so far. It hasn't worked for them.
Only the top 4 can make it into the main event. Out of this heat, we've got Jeremy Mcgrath way out in front, a whole football field advantage, with Ryan Hughes in second, and a good battle coming up for second maybe with Brian Swink right on Ryan Hughes' tail. It's Ezra Lusk in 4th position.
Mcgrath is flawless. Slides the back end tire in. Watch how he jumps up on this plateau, up over this jump. Protects that inside line. He'll get a burst of power here and jump up onto that plateau and squirt off. And there's no way that anybody is going to ever have a lead on this guy. He's faster than everybody.
And he's showing off all the way, too.
Well, you know, if you do get a good start and he's back in the pack, you just about count on the fact that he's going to catch you. So if he can put up with the pressure, you may have a shot at it. Other than that, Jeremy's got these guys pretty psyched out from what I can see.
Mcgrath. Hughes is now moved in front of Brian Swink. There you see 2nd and 3rd place bikes. Ezra Lusk looks like he's got 4th locked if he stays upright. And guys right now destined to go to the semifinal round. Albertine, Jimmy Button, Buddy Antonez, and Mike Larocco is way back.
And Ryan Hughes, he started to pull away from this pack once he worked his way into 2nd, and I thought he might have a chance at catching Jeremy, but now Swink and Lusk starting to swap positions. Yes. They're staying close to Hughes. It could be the problem with Hughes. I saw him go down hard in the practice through the whoop-de-doo section. He rode around pretty slow after that, so he could be nursing something that's sore.
Lusk has been told to ride conservatively, especially after his problems of last year, and he's starting to learn by it. He's starting to race within himself, taking his first podium performance of the season last year at 3rd place at Indianapolis. And his mechanics are telling him, hey, you get a couple of more 3rd place finishes in the next 2 weeks, and we'll let you do whatever you want to do, and you can show us what you've got.
Well, you know, it sounds like a conservative strategy, but you know, it's what you've got to do. You've got to work your way up the ladder, and you know, right now he's kind of in phase 2 of being able to win races.
Right now, here's the battle between Hughes, number 5, and Brian Swink on the final lap. Ezra Lusk is behind them in 4th.
Hughes has got company.
Oh, the knack from number 1. He's got all kinds of time. He could stop for a soda and fries and still win this qualifying heat.
One more time to the whoops. And you know what's interesting? I've noticed Mcgrath, he won't push himself that hard to the whoops. It takes so much strength out of you. That's where a lot of guys get that arm pump. He'll take it easy through there because he's so fast everywhere else.
Here comes Swink edging up on Ryan Hughes. That'll be an interesting battle as the checkered flag for Jeremy Mcgrath. We're looking at the battle for 2nd right now. Swink couldn't get the angle. And it's Ryan Hughes, number 2 in the qualifying heat, with Brian Swink, number 3, and Ezra Lusk will also qualify, getting the final transfer spot. We'll be back with words of wisdom from the champion once again after this. David Bailey and Marty Reed with round number 11 of Supercross from Tampa Stadium. Here's the official look at the Suzuki top 4 results from heat number 2. Mcgrath, Hughes, Swink, and Lusk going to the main event, but guys like Albertine, Button, Antonez, they did not make it, along with Larocco. Let's go down to Marty Reed.
Well, welcome to Chapter 11 of the Jeremy Mcgrath Show. Should we just give this championship to you and get on with life?
Well, I think I've earned my way so far. You know, tonight, if you want to, that'd be all right.
I mean, you destroyed this field. You know, and then all the Showtime effects, the knack-knacks and everything. You are giving your crew chief, Skip Norfolk, gray hairs very early.
Yeah, he's getting gray hairs. He's also got a baby on the way, so he's getting gray hairs about that. But, you know, I can't say enough about those guys. You know, Skip, he does a great job on my bike every week, and my team manager, Wes, and Ben, and Cliff, and everyone's behind me every week, and it just makes me feel real comfortable.
Last question for now, because I have a feeling I'm going to be talking to you a little bit later. Are you feeling any pressure for this record-breaking night tonight?
No, I mean, every week's a new record, it seems, so I don't think tonight's any different. I just want to go out there and be me, you know, just ride the bike the way I know how and not get tight out there and just go for it. Win.
Guys, I got to tell you, that's not cockiness. He just knows that's reality.
He's had a lot of time to get that reality under his belt, that's for sure, as he's looking for his 11th straight victory here tonight. Some of the best action of the night traditionally comes out of the semifinal rounds, and with this great crowd looking on, it's coming up next. Stay with us.
Just what does it take to get in shape and stay that way? If you think you need to go to a gym to lose weight, get in shape, and have a body like this, think again. This is Bowflex, a real workout at home that's so good, we guarantee results in 6 weeks or your money back. Think about it. You could get results like tighter abs, finer lines, a stronger chest, and more defined legs in only 6 weeks. It's not magic, it's Bowflex. All of the most effective exercises, plus a great aerobic rowing feature, ready for a quick workout whenever you are. Nothing could be easier. The results you want are only 6 weeks away. Don't think about it anymore. Take action. Call us and ask for a free video and brochure on the machine that works like an entire gym, but fits anywhere in your home.
Who were the year's best athletes? What was the play of the year? Most outrageous play of the year? You tell us. Tune into SportsCenter, and we'll show you the best sports moments of 1996. We'll give you a number to call to cast your vote for the athlete or performance you feel deserves a special Fans' Choice ESPY. Watch SportsCenter or vote on ESPN Net Sports Zone for the 1997 ESPY Awards, only on ESPN.
In this week's Honda Flashback, we're going back to 1994, right here in Tampa, where Jeff Matasevich pulled a hole shot in the main event on his privateer Yamaha. But it didn't last long. Mike Craig around him and into the lead on the factory bike. And back in the pack with a terrible start was Mcgrath. You know he got a bad start. He's back there with Larocco. And his problems got worse as he went down and lost even more spots, having to come from behind. But out front, it was an ecstatic Mike Craig pulling away on the hard, slick track and winning his first and only Supercross to date. He hugged everybody. He was so happy he hugged the event promoter, Bill West.
Craig's win breaking a 4-race win streak back in '94 of Jeremy Mcgrath. Tonight, such an upset would be, of course, much more significant. Craig had to win a semifinal round to qualify for that race in 1994. So maybe, just maybe, one of these next riders will have that same opportunity. You see Damon Bradshaw there having to go to the semifinals to try to qualify for the main event. As these riders are at the gate getting ready for the first of 2 semifinals, the top 5 riders from each semi getting a spot at the gate for the main event.
Damon Huffman had to go to the semi in Seattle. That was one of the closest races in the main event. Best challenge to Mcgrath we've seen all year, and Huffman didn't even win that. He got second to his teammate Ryan Hughes. So it's possible to come out of the semi. A lot of these guys, they ride tight in the heat race. They don't get the start they like. Maybe they go down to the corner, bend the brakes and stuff, and they can go out in the semi and loosen up more, get more track time.
Number 10, Damon Huffman. Let's go down to Marty Reed.
Talked to Damon right before this race. He is not real happy with that wrist. It is really bothering him. Also, an update on Kyle Lewis. His woes continue. He had a bad spill last week in Indianapolis. He had food poisoning last night, guys. He got all of 1 practice lap. He looks very green right now. Don't expect a lot from number 11.
Well, Lewis having his problems, that's for sure, as he went into the last round at Indianapolis with shoulder problems. About 75% really, and then he really cased it hard on a big triple and never really got up and going after that.
I think what happens with these guys is that you know, they come back from an injury. You see the 32nd board's up for this semi, and they come back from an injury and they expect to pick up where they left off. You know, it's hard to hold back, and you actually have to just a little bit when you come back from injury, work your way back into that pace.
Especially when he was in a competitive situation and he could feel the adrenaline pump and he said, I got a chance to do something here.
Well, there's a lot of ruts last week. With every jump looked like a comb. There was ruts all the way across, and they won't see any of that tonight.
Larry Ward, Damon Huffman, Bradshaw, Doug Henry in his comeback here, trying to qualify for the main here in the first semifinal round. Out in front, number 24, Denny Stevenson, who got a good start in the last qualifying round, and down in the first turn is one of the riders. I think it's Doug Dubach. Yes, it's Dr. Dubach.
He's a Yamaha test rider. He's riding one of the factory bikes.
Kyle Lewis is now leading here in the first semifinal round, with Damon Huffman in second, Stevenson in third, and Larry Ward in fourth, with Doug Henry in fifth. And you have to go back to seventh before you find Damon Bradshaw.
Well, not another good start for him, but for Lewis, that's going to help the way he feels out there to a good lead. But he's got a lot of company. Huffman right on his tail.
First lap completed with Lewis and Huffman 1 and 2. And Stevenson, along with Larry Ward, not that far away.
You can see what happens. Kyle Lewis felt like he had to protect that inside after the finish line jump, elected to only go for the double. It's almost impossible to do the triple from the inside. And Huffman couldn't do the triple either, because Lewis was in the way, and then Stevenson jumped it. Looks scary, you know. You don't really know what to do in the first lap when everyone's tight together like that.
Some of the two gentlemen that Marty Reed commented about, Kyle Lewis and Damon Huffman, are making a statement right here in the semifinal round. Brian Lennis, thumbs up for his rider Damon Huffman.
He's telling him to race the track. Forget about your competition. Don't worry about Kyle Lewis. Just go as fast as Damon Huffman can go, and if you do that, you should be looking good. I agree with that.
First 5 out of the semifinals go directly to the main event. And it looks like we might have quite a battle for that final transfer spot.
Here they go again. Lewis to the inside. He won't be able to do this triple. Watch Huffman. There he is. He jumps it. He's not going to make the pass, but that's what he had to do. If he wouldn't have jumped that double, I think you can see right there, Larry Ward coming up from behind would have jumped it, and he may have slipped the spot.
Lewis very good at protecting his position.
If he does that again, I think these guys have learned. They'll anticipate that. If they see him aiming to the inside in the air off that finish line jump, they're going to hurry through that corner and try to make that work.
Kyle Lewis leading this semifinal round, coming back from injury. Riding with that sore wrist is Damon Huffman on the 10 machine, with Larry Ward, number 6, in the third spot.
You know, I'm really impressed. And now we got the battle between the two Yamaha teammates, Bradshaw and Henry, not getting good starts. They're still behind Denny Stevenson. Henry went down hard in practice.
That's the final transfer position they're battling for. And right now, Stevenson has it. Cutting to the inside is Damon Bradshaw. He is now in 4th position.
That was slick. He just caught Stevenson asleep there and made that move.
So now the final transfer spot is between Stevenson and Doug Henry. It'll be interesting to see how Henry handles this one.
Well, he's not going to have to pass his teammate, so he can maybe get in there and get a little bit more aggressive and bump elbows with Stevenson. Stevenson will do it right back. He's a tough competitor. You can see Henry, as he went over the triple there, he looked across the racetrack to see who else was up front. He's curious to know who's up there. Maybe he thinks he can go catch them.
Well, this is the battle for the final transfer spot with Denny Stevenson, number 24, but it's really looking for a good for the guys out front. I'm speaking of Kyle Lewis, and he'll be seeing if he can take the checkers. We'll get that answer when we get back. Here's our field summary as semifinal Supercross action is underway, and going over the berm.
Kyle Lewis came up short on that plateau there. Completely off the racetrack. He won't even be able to get back on from where he sits.
Looks like last chance qualifier for Kyle Lewis.
So while we were away, Larry Ward moved around Huffman into second. That just handed him the lead.
So Larry Ward is out in front now here in the first semifinal round, with Damon Huffman right behind him, and Bradshaw and Henry in that order.
So Lewis really showing exactly what can happen if you make a slight mistake. He only came up about 6 inches short off the track. That's basically what happened to him last week. So 2 weeks in a row now.
Damon Bradshaw, we've mentioned several times that aggressive attitude and confidence continues to build on his way back in the Supercross season. He cased it hard in Indianapolis and took a 13th, but that doesn't indicate how he was running, really.
No, he looked good. He was second in the heat race to Mcgrath.
Checker flag for Larry Ward, winning semifinal number 1. And Huffman and Bradshaw make it to the main event, as does Doug Henry. There's number 28, Bradshaw.
He looks a little disappointed. I think he had a run on Huffman, couldn't quite get him, not enough time. Main event, got a lot more time, though.
Okay, we'll check the official standings from our first semifinal round when we get back to Tampa Stadium. 13 riders have now qualified for our 20-man field. These 5 just added to the starting grid sheet from the just concluded semifinal number 1. Once again, Marty Reed's on the scene with our winner.
Well, sometimes it just pays to be in the right place at the right time. After that start, did you think you'd be able to come back and win this heat?
Oh, yeah, you always got to tell yourself you can win. Track, there is some places to pass out there tonight, and I was patient. And I let those guys make some mistakes, and I passed a couple guys, and I was fortunate enough to come away with the win.
Did you see what happened to Kyle?
Yeah, he actually goofed up at the beginning of the straightaway, cased the first jump, and then endoed off the second one, and then his hand fell off, and he just went off the track. Hope he's okay. He was my teammate last year, and he's a good guy, so he'll be back for the main, I'm sure.
And so will you. We'll see him then, guys.
Okay, thanks, Marty. As we get set now for the second semifinal round, you see Mike Larocco there. He started in last place in his qualifying round, and he's got a long way to battle back, David Bailey.
Well, he got stuck in the gate, and, you know, that's it's hard to say if they had problems with the clutch or if he's just feeling the need to get off the line, because he hasn't been getting good starts. He needs it. He knows it. He probably just tried to get out a little early and got stuck in there. All these gates drop individually, so he was left behind.
Also, Greg Albertine, you see number 22, Buddy Anthonez. Jimmy Button is also in this semifinal round, along with Larocco. Jeff Hedden. There's Albertine 16 alongside Anthonez, number 22.
Look at Albertine's glove. We had a shot there briefly of his gloves. He's cut the padding off the top of them. A lot of the guys do that so they can move their hands more freely in the gloves. I used to have a backup pair, like if my arms were pumping up psychologically, if I went to those gloves, I could work my hands better, and it always worked. I think it didn't really have much to do with it, but if it works in your head, it's good enough.
This Bay Area really draws the fans for Supercross action, round number 11. This is our second semifinal round. They're a little anxious to get into the action as well. They're great fans here.
Larocco's dad working the throttle. I think that's Mike. No. It's hard to tell when they're that close in.
Karsten, Barry Karsten, number 31.
The Iron Man riding both classes.
Jeff Hedden, number 85, is also in this heat. He tries to ride both classes, as we mentioned. 246, Kenny Yoho.
You see the knobs on that tire on Kenny's bike. Pretty radical stagger on those knobs. And it's a pretty hard-packed surface out here, so I was surprised to see the knobs spaced apart that much. I think a lot of these guys probably be using a hard-track tire. That's what, at least what I saw earlier.
Well, as factory guys, of course, they're ready to change in an instant. But we had a threat of downpour here earlier, and they had to have the wider spread knobs all ready to go to throw the mud out. But it's remained hard-packed.
And you know what's happening right here, you can see the riders are still waiting for that 30-second card to go up. There's apparently some kind of a delay, and you know, when you wait like that, it really messes with your with your concentration. And I've actually been in a start before where the guy that trips the gate was not in the hut. He was out in front of the starting line. We sat there. It was actually in Atlanta. We sat there for like 30 seconds with the clutch in. Yeah. Finally, that guy started looking up, wondering what was going on, and it was a real test of people's concentration to see who could stay staring at that gate.
Well, that clutch feel is so important.
Well, plus, the longer you sit there like that, the more you kind of melt it, and you start to develop a lot of free play in it.
What about arm pump? Does it get tense at all?
Well, it's not really arm pump at that point. It's just nerves of waiting that gate, wondering what's going on.
Okay, it's sideways, so from 5 to 10 seconds, that gate's going to drop, and they're off here in the semifinal rounds. Coming from the outside, Karsten, number 31, but he will not come out of that in first place. It's number 49, Michael Jones. Jones with a good qualifying heat, and 97 jumping inside.
Schnell came out smelling like a rose. He started all the way on the inside. He just threaded the needle down into the corner and tucked it around the inside. Came out good. Carson there sitting dead last. That's probably, there's no way he's going to qualify now out of this semi. He'll have to go to the last chance qualifier.
So Michael Jones, number 49 from Export, Pennsylvania. You see him there going through the whoop section.
Larocco with a pretty decent start. Looks like he's going to move into second right there. Albertine, his teammate, follows him right through up the inside.
And it's Button going down with Antonez in the corner before the finish line jump. And that's Greg Albertine, number 16. There you see Button, number 100, getting up. Buddy Antonez now destined to go to the last chance qualifier. Boy, you hesitate a bit. And the talent out in front of you just keeps on going.
You see that inside line those guys are all starting to use through that corner. Some of that one-line stuff. And I talked to you earlier in the heat races about it being one line, and it's not really the fault of the track designers. They're trying to do everything they can to create good racing and make better passing, and hopefully a track that somebody could challenge Mcgrath on, but it's the fastest line always gets pretty skinny out there.
Jimmy Button out of that wreck. He's pulled off, so he'll go to the last chance qualifier. No, number 97 goes down, Greg Schnell.
Riders have been having a tough time with this whoop section all night. From up here, it doesn't look that tough, but when you get a look at it, it's slick in between those bumps. You can see that shiny spot on the face of all those. They get slippery, and they're not perfectly even. So,
from Team Chaparral, Schnell is a 125 rider in the West Coast Division. Just trying to get into this 250 for experience.
On a 125, he may have been able to pull that off. The front wheel tucked under a little bit, and then he got off balance. And I've actually done that before. Slapped my foot down, didn't even fall, and broke my foot.
Larocco is starting to make a move now on number 49. You see him out in front, Michael Jones. Larocco, number 8. And Albertine right behind him. But the top 5 qualify to go to the main out of this semifinal round number 2.
You know, what really surprises me is that they've only closed in very slowly on the leader, Mike Jones. A lot faster through that whoop section, though. Look at that. Right around him on both sides.
Albertine! Albie's got the block pass on Larocco as they come over the finish line jump. So both Team Suzuki riders are able to get by Jones. Jones, though, still a good chance to qualify.
Mike Jones is still spinning. They went by him on both sides on that technical section. These guys made up a lot of time on Jones through that whoop section and set that all up.
Check it out again. Jones cased it a little bit, and the two just went by like uprights.
If you come up short on that plateau, getting up on there, you don't have the drive to get off of there. That's what happened to Lewis earlier. He didn't have the drive to get over that jump into the corner. Came up short there and had nowhere to go but off the racetrack.
And Albie, number 16, had the good angle to block past him all the way. Here's Larocco coming through the whoops behind Greg Albertine, the former 3-time world champion, who's had his experiences getting used to Supercross in this country.
Well, I think that what they should be doing, and I'm sure that they are, DeCoster is pretty bright, is telling Albertine to mellow out a little bit. Don't try quite so hard. Just build some confidence. You're nowhere in the running for the title here. You know, save yourself for the outdoors and learn. Come back in next year with some confidence indoors because he's been on the ground quite a bit this year.
Albertine getting some space on Larocco. But we ought to keep our eyes on Albertine, though, because he has been known to hit the dirt pretty hard in these qualifying rounds.
Well, I don't want to rag on him too much. You know, he's been going fast, but he's starting to pull away from Larocco now. Ian
Harrison is mechanic. Mike Larocco Sr., the mechanic, of course, for Mike Larocco, has helped him do some championships before this year.
Suzuki has a lot of potential. I'm not sure how much longer Larocco is going to be out there. He's had plenty of titles. And Albertine is young. He's very good outdoors. He's learning indoors. Ezra Lusk has been riding fantastic indoors and really starting to become a threat there, I think. So maybe if they could pick up a good rider for the future, they'd have a really strong team.
Number 971 is in the hunt to qualify. Dave Costello. He's from the Great Western team. We're usually talking about Phil Lawrence and Denny Stevenson from that team.
Well, that's head and tried to go in there and put a little block pass on him, went a little wide, and Castillo knew that was going on and cut to the inside of him, got him back.
Albertine in second place, number 16 here in semi-qualifying round number 2.
Albertine still holding that lead, that same lead over Larocco.
Checkered flag. Albertine pulling down the checkers. Greg Albertine. Here's the final transfer spot. The battle between Hedden and Costello. Hedden, number 85, to the inside. Jeff Hedden, it looks like, will get that 5th spot and the final transfer spot. We'll have to check the official standings when we get back at Tampa Stadium. Art Ekman, David Bailey, and Marty Reed. Marty will be down there talking with our winner when we return.
Would you do this to a $1,000 leather sofa? Ouch! Of course not. But
Albertine taking the checkers with his teammate Mike Larocco. A impressive performance from Mike. Michael Jones, Jeff Hedden, and Dave Costello doing a great job getting all the way to the main and not having to go to that last chance qualifier. Let's go down to Marty Reed.
Well, for the first time since he's come over from Europe to race, we find Greg Albertine at the top spot in this qualifier. And how's it feel?
Feels great. You know, I haven't been on the podium since 1994, and it feels lousy, you know, when you haven't been on the podium for that long and you're 3-time world champion. So, you know, I've been improving every week, and my Suzuki RM250 is just great out there, and, you know, my Oakley goggles are working great, my BFE clothes.
What's been the biggest adjustment from the European series to the style that's ridden over here in Supercross?
Well, it's definitely the tracks. You know, outdoors, overseas, the tracks are much faster, more wide open, you know, less technical, whereas here, there's very little room for error. You know, and I'm happy to say I'm improving all the time, and this is my first podium finish. Let's hope we can put on a good show for the main tonight.
Well, we'll find out, guys, as he is here and he wants to return.
Okay, Marty, thanks a lot. Before we move on to the sports future stars battling in the 125 main event, it's a Suzuki riding tip, ironically, from Greg Albertine.
As a factory rider, people often come up to me and ask me how I jump doubles or triples so easily. Jumping is actually not that hard, as long as you set it up properly. Once you have a pretty good feel for the jump, you can set up properly. For maximum altitude, professionals like my teammates on Team Suzuki have perfected the art of pre-jumping. Just as they reach the base of the jump, they press their full weight down on the foot pegs to compress the forks, which then rebound to provide maximum lift. Of course, sometimes you need to stay low and go a long way. In that case, I like to keep my weight well back and keep as much weight off the forks as possible. Remember, it takes time and a lot of practice to master the art of jumping. So take it slow, learn the basics, and before you know it, you'll be jumping like a pro. I'm Greg Albertine for Team Suzuki.
Can your radio do that?
Way the 250 last chance qualifier concluded with Kyle Lewis and Dave Dubach, a one-time Supercross winner, the last 2 riders to make tonight's main event. Doug Dubach taking that last gate position. The Suzuki point standings, the 125 riders are out on their parade lap as we see Mikel Pichon 24 points up on Dowd. Ferry has a chance here in his home state track to possibly move up to second with a fine performance tonight, and there's a big, lots of opportunity behind third place as we look at the point structure for 5th, 6th, and 7th.
It's all pretty tight. Now Dowd throwing it away last week. He's probably going to try to close out the season, do everything he can.
Brian Deegan, he's in that hunt along with Scott Sheik.
I think sometimes when you have the lead, which Dowd sort of talked about a little bit, you know, you change a little bit. You start riding not to lose, and we might see a little bit different John Dowd from here on out. A little more aggressive and with nothing to lose.
125 riders as we continue our starting grid. Tom Clowers, Grayson Goodman, that's an interesting name up there. A buddy of number 1 in the 250 class, Jeremy Mcgrath. Mcgrath practicing at Goodman's track outside of Dallas before the Dallas Supercross.
Yeah, he stayed over between Houston and Dallas, had a good time there, got used to that humidity and riding on that hard, slick stuff, and it sure showed as he went wire to wire in Dallas. And a lot of that talent that Mcgrath has rubs off on Grayson, and Grayson has been in that 125 last chance qualifier. He was jumping everything. It looked good.
Mikel Pichon, number 1. John Dowd, number 7. Let's go to Marty Reed.
Well, these two guys are going to line up side by side. Mikel Pichon, number 1, the number 7 of John Dowd. Neither has looked at the other. Oh, Pichon just took a quick little glance. You mentioned John Dowd a little earlier. I talked to him before the race. He said, look, I am just going to go back to trying to focus on what John Dowd needs to do. I got too wrapped up in the championship chase, and it cost me. Now I'm going to try to be the old John Dowd. As far as Pichon and Dowd are concerned, keep an eye on those elbows. They're going to be flying into turn number 1.
Yeah, coming off the worst full day in racing history. There's a Tampa Bay Buccaneer helmet, but it's on Mr. Ferry, home state Floridian.
learning from his teammate Lusk, who wore a Dallas Cowboys helmet in Dallas and a Braves jersey in Atlanta. So these guys are playing it up to the crowd. Dowd lined up just to the outside of Pichon, though, and if they get out together, Pichon's going to have control of that corner. So Dowd needs to get out as soon as he can and try to get an elbow in front of Pichon, hook him into the bales. The only shot he's got.
Dowd getting a little drastic, really, not riding the bike at all in the off week between races.
That helps you stay hungry, and when they come here after the week, they get ready for press day, and they ride on Friday, and they get plenty of track time.
Marty, let's get down to you. We got some trouble there?
Well, the delay was Nathan Ramsey. They were waiting for him to run from the pit lane. He had forgotten goggles. So he grabbed the goggles. He's on the bike, number 47. That was the last guy to get in line. We should see the 32nd board any second.
Okay. It seems like we waited for Nathan Ramsey last week.
Well, they won't put up with that for very long. These guys get a break, though. I mean, if there's something wrong and it's somebody that's part of the show that's going to be a competitor up there, they're going to give him the time that he needs.
Now, last week in Indianapolis, it was a foul to plug, and they changed the plug right away. 32nd board is up, so we're just about getting set now for our 125 main event from Tampa Stadium in the Florida Bay Area. John Dowd coming back in the heat race and looking strong. It was a good sign after such a miserable week last week where he crashed in practice, crashed in the qualifying, and had to go to the last chance qualifier and then failed to qualify. We are sideways now on the 32nd board. Any second now, they will be dropping the gate. You can hear the rev of the engines, and they're off. On the inside, it looks like the Kawasaki's Mikel Pichon gets a great start. Scott Sheik is out in front, number 26, but anything can happen out of that corner. Yes, he gets by Ramsey and a few other riders.
Grayson Goodman, number 72, in second. Gets block passed by Pichon right away, but he's off to a pretty good start in third.
Pichon in second place now behind Scotty Sheik. Sheik, Pichon.
Goodman had a pretty good opportunity to get off that plateau jump and make a pass maybe on Sheik. Couldn't do it.
Pichon is right there, though, and he's riding so comfortably. Just as he did in the qualifying round earlier, a great block pass before the finish line jump.
Well, yeah, set that up perfect. He squared the corner going into that plateau section, knew he would be on the inside, gives Sheik nowhere to go. He's looking around now, making sure he's got enough distance to go wide there.
Sheik's best performance of the year was last week at Indianapolis with a fourth-place finish, but I don't think he's going to do any catching up to this guy, Mikel Pichon.
Here's another look. Pichon on the inside. Sheik came up a little short there, cased it, feet off the pegs. Pichon looked over. I don't think he meant to get in there and bump him very much. That was probably a polite gesture, just like looking back, make sure he was okay still. But he's got a pretty good lead right now.
And having the ride of his season, if not career, is Perillo in third.
Looks like Tommy Clowers has gone down.
And it looks like he went down kind of hard, getting back on that bike very gingerly.
He's got those new baggy clothes. Pichon with a big lead out in the starting, looking over his shoulder. He can see that he's got about 3 seconds now.
Tim Ferry is nowhere in sight. Mikel Pichon, our leader. We'll be back with the run to the checkered flag here in Tampa, Florida, in the 125 main event after this. Was listed in third place in our field summary, just went down as the graphic went up. So he has lost a few positions right now, but the rest of that is accurate. Here's Mikel Pichon out in front here in Tampa Bay, looking for his 5th win of the season. The run for third place now is John Dowd is in front of number 25, Brian Deegan.
And he just put a pretty mean block pass on Deegan before they came up to the finish line jump, the same place that Pichon made the pass for the lead. Already starting to pull away a little bit, so it appears as though Dowd is a little bit faster pace. And he's got about 15 seconds to go to catch up to the leader. I don't think that's going to happen.
A 6-second lead for our leader, Mikel Pichon, over Scott Sheik. And Sheik has got a long distance back to number 7, John Dowd. Dowd, though, might have the laps enough to catch him.
Well, Dowd gets stronger as the race continues. His fitness is not a problem with him. And, you know, as Marty pointed out before the start, he's just going back trying to ride as fast as he can. And he probably wishes it was 20 laps like the 250s. He'd make up more time.
Corey Keeney moving into the top 5 in our field summaries. We take a look at Brian Deegan of Team Chaparral.
starting to pull away a little bit. A good ride for Deegan. He had a strong ride last week, so he's starting to run up front, more consistent now.
We've got the front two riders running all alone. What's that like, David Bailey?
Boring for those guys. You just wait for the laps to wind down. Pichon will look for the halfway, then he'll be looking for the white flag going, hurry up.
Let's go down trackside to Marty Reed.
Well, guys, while you were focusing further back in the pack, I kept my eye on Mikhail Pichon. He cased it coming over the finish line jump. Remember, he has got that sprained thumb. Keep your eye on him. Let's watch him, see if he is slowing down a little bit here after that hard hit.
Pichon comes into this week's action also with a bad case of bronchitis. He was coughing almost violently at times when we saw him in the pit area. But he's coming off with the confidence that he went from 11 points down to 24 points in the lead in the 125 Eastern Division in 2 races.
And watching him here, he looks fantastic. You see a lot of times when he goes into the face of the jumps, he'll sit down, save a little bit of energy, he gets that extra spring. He's over the triple there, no problem. His timing seems to be pretty good. That was just a little mistake there that Marty talked about.
Michon likes this track. He's raced in the rain and snow in Europe, but he's also learned to like this hard-packed soil.
The bike works very good on hard track, so we see. The only thing I want to do now is I'm leading by 24 points. I like to be champion before the last one. And like I said, if I can be champion before the last one, then I can give everything for the outdoor for Sacramento, the next race, the next outdoor.
Mikhail Pichon, darn near flawless except for that one case.
Well, that does, it's a big blow. He's already lapping number 40 there, Davey Yazik. And there he goes again. He's using that weight of his body to sit on the bike, get that lift, and he's been fantastic through the whoop-de-doo section. He's got a rhythm through there, which is something I haven't seen all night from anybody, even on the 250s.
We'll be back with the race to the checkered flag here in the 125 main after this. Of the 125 East Division, after losing the first 2 East-West matchups to Kevin Windham, a Western rider in the 125s, he came back to beat Kevin Windham in the 3rd matchup. Of course, the 4th matchup between the 2 divisions will be later on in St. Louis.
I'm anxious to see how that goes as the Honda stopwatch goes up. He's over the triple, no problem. The 250s are running around 50 seconds, Art, and it wouldn't surprise me to see Pichon really close there. He doesn't have to push. He's got a 12-second lead. We saw that right before we went to the break. Here comes Sheik. 13 seconds now, and John Dowd has actually closed quite a bit on Sheik. So that'll be a battle shaping up pretty soon. Pichon around a fallen rider there. Looks like Tony LaRusso.
LaRusso not getting up very quickly either as we take a look at the flawless style. You know, and he showed me something here on the hard pack. His ability to be thinking all along as far as strategy is concerned. We weren't able to see in this program anyway the qualifying round, but he played it very smart.
He did. He just knows how to apply the power and get the most out of that 125. 125s are tough to ride on a Supercross track. And trying to get the run at the triples and get enough speed to get over some of the doubles. 53 seconds. A little slower than I would have thought, but he's just got a nice, comfortable pace that he can run for 20 laps.
Well, he really hasn't been pushed in this one at all.
No, he could probably shave a couple seconds off of that without any trouble. But then he'd be riding in a zone maybe a little bit more uncomfortable.
6 seconds back is number 26, Scott Sheik. And then we go quite a ways back of there. And it's Brian Deegan, number 25, and John Dowd. John Dowd and Sheik, I should say. Dowd is closing up on Sheik.
Sheik having his troubles through that whoop section, the back end dancing around side to side. And
they still haven't gotten LaRusso out of that corner before the finish line jump.
They're just standing there. Looks like LaRusso he got up on his own, but they're just standing there. I don't understand why they haven't gotten him out of the way. Maybe, you know, I think that's kind of a blind spot. The flagger is trying all he can do to get the guys to steer away. When he gets a clearing, they'll motion him to move out of the way.
Sheik had a 7th place finish the last time we raced here in Tampa, 1994, here in the 125 division. Oh, what a nice bar-to-bar action. Some block pass tries. And Scott Sheik still holding on in front of John Dowd. Sheik with a wonderful race last week, but he cased it on the last lap and dropped back to 4th.
Well, John Dowd is definitely applying the pressure, and we'll find out what Sheik's made of. He's had a chance to run up front a little bit. And this time through the whoops, he went pretty good. The guys have had a tough time getting through there twice the same all night. Pichon's got a nice rhythm, though. As we get a chance to look at him before the end, he's carrying the front wheel through there and jumping in a rhythm like 5, 5, 5, and you can do that the same every lap.
Soaring off the finish line jump, Scott Sheik. And now we take a look. Just as you requested, David Bailey. Mikel Pichon. Now we go back to that battle for second as John Dowd pursuing Scott Sheik, but can't seem to get around him. They lap Davey Jezik there, number 40.
It's been 5 or so laps before since Pichon lapped Jezik. Now these guys are finally catching up to him. That gives you an idea how far behind the leader they are. And Dowd is still unable to really keep the pressure on Sheik. It appears right now that Sheik has answered that call of Dowd, putting the pressure on. He found a little extra, and he's actually opened it up some.
Let's go down now to trackside Marty Reed.
Oh, we're down here with Brian Berry. A big improvement from last weekend.
Yeah, it's a big improvement. It's not quite as much as I wanted to have him improve, but I guess second or third or whatever we end up will be better than last week.
Brian Berry, he wants to get back to work. About 4.5 laps to go, guys.
Okay, Scott Sheik is Dowd's problem right now.
Well, he could have made it a lap and pulled off, and it'd be better than last week. That was just horrible. Started out in practice horrible, crashing, having problems. Had to ride all the races, still couldn't qualify. Missed it by 1 spot, and obviously very disappointed, and a complete different outlook on the week, as he pointed out before.
Having more trouble with his timing in this main event than he had in the qualifying round, which he won.
Well, sometimes you don't get to start and you get up there, you don't get up to run with the guys that you're comfortable running with, the Pichons and the Ferries. You have a tough time. I used to get bad starts and start riding just like the guys around me. And Dowd is unable to find his pace here. And typically he gets stronger towards the end of the race. But right now he's losing time to Sheik.
What a strong performance by Scott Sheik, who picked off his best Supercross finish of 4th last week at Indianapolis. And let's go down to Marty Reed, who's with his mechanic.
Well, Kenny Watson is down here making the sign for Scott Sheik to 3 laps, telling him to attack. You've got to be extremely happy with your man right now.
Yeah, he's riding pretty well. Seems like Dowd's putting some pressure on him, but hopefully he uses his head and just stays smooth and rides his own race and doesn't let John interfere with him. But hopefully he can hold on.
Tim Ferry's trying to salvage this season. Number 20 was just lapped by Mikel Pichon. As we take another look at Scott Sheik, number 26. He's blitzing by people in the whoops.
He looks good to the whoops now. He's doing a little bit more like what Pichon's doing. He's carrying the front wheel in 4 or 5 bumps, picks it back up, carries it 4 or 5 more, and then he just kind of muscles his way through the end. Maybe Dowd can learn from that, because he's starting to lose time there, and that's typically where he's strong.
With this kind of performance, if Scott Sheik can hold on, that means he could be making a run at Ramsey and Ferry, the 2 riders in front of him, in the points race in the 1-2-5 East.
Well, it's a big points jump from second back to third. If he can keep Dowd back there, that'll help a lot. He'll put 5 points on the next guy. And without very many races left to go, that's critical.
Ramsey, Sheik, and Deegan very closely placed in 4th, 5th, and 6th in the 125 Eastern race.
Now they got some lappers to contend with, and Sheik trying to move around this guy. He's had to take a line he hasn't taken, and way more to the inside. You can see he's not as fast there. Dowd caught him.
Here comes Dowd, and they got the lapper in front of him, but Scott Sheik wisely cut in front of him. Dowd made maybe a strategic error there. He didn't really use the lapper like that. Last week, as we said, Dowd crashed in practice, crashed in qualifying, then failed to qualify for the main event. It's hard to forget such a bummer of a day. Right there, he puts the block, a rather slow, sluggish-looking move on Scott Sheik.
He caught Sheik sleeping right there. I don't know. He got a good run out of the corner going into the starting line. Pichon through that whoop section. Doesn't have to push it now. He was getting through there pretty quick. It's the final lap for him.
White flag lap all the way, and Mikel is just breezing along. Must feel good to have bronchitis and a sore injury and still come out with a dominating win here in Tampa Stadium. Mikel Pichon. Here's the battle now for second. Be John Dowd, Scott Sheik. Sheik trying to leap. Gets the inside. It's going to be close, but John Dowd is there for second place.
Good effort by Sheik, though, to try to get him back in the last corner. A lapped rider got in the way just a little bit, but he's got to be pretty happy. He's on the podium.
We'll be right back with the official standings and hear from Marty Reed as he'll be talking with those headed to the victory podium after these words.
You are a machine.
Main event just concluded. That's their 8th race of the year. Here's our Suzuki top 5 results as Mikel Pichon gets another win on the season as he starts to pull away in that points race from John Dowd. Scott Sheik, though, and Brian Deegan still in a real battle in that top 5 position. Let's go down to Marty Reed.
Now we're going to turn our attention first to second place, because I want to ask you, before tonight, we talked about the fact you said you wanted to get back and focus and just ride your kind of race. Did you succeed in that goal?
Yeah, I felt pretty good out there. I didn't really get the start I was needing, but nonetheless, the whole race went pretty good. You know, I had one section of the track that I kept making mistakes on, but one spot on the whole track, I guess that's not too bad.
Does that put some momentum back into your effort now for the rest of the last 4 races?
Yeah, I sure hope so. You know, last week was really bad for me. I don't know what happened. It really kind of messed me up, you know, in my head there. And I was just hoping to get out here this week and make sure I got back on track. And I feel pretty good after that. You know, everything went pretty good.
It was a nice comeback for second after that horrendous start. Let's move over to first place now. And, boy, you made it look easy again. Was it that easy out there?
Well, that was, yeah, maybe easier than last week, because the track was way easier than it was last week. But it's still pretty hard because I gave 100%. I want to ride as much as I can to prepare myself for the future. I don't want to ride slow and say, yeah, it's good, I'm going to win easy. I try very hard, and that's it. I mean, I didn't make many mistakes, and I had good line. The works pretty good. So I hope to make all the rest of the race like this. That'd be very good for me.
Well, the guys up top were mentioning the fact you were coming off this bronchitis, sinus infection. Did that play any kind of factor at all? It didn't look like it was hindering you.
Yeah, just a little bit. You know, after seven laps, I get tired a little bit. But I had so good leads that I slowed down for a couple laps, for 2 or 3 laps. Then at the end, I felt much better. But for sure, I was not as good as last week. But you know, it's like last week I got a good start, and when you got a good start, I know I'm faster than all those guys. So when I saw me in front in first corners, I said it's good. You just have to ride, don't make mistake, and that'll be easy win.
Well, Mikel Pichon wins again here in Tampa. Oh, look who just snuck in here, 3rd place. Good run, Scott. You know, it's been a while since we've been able to talk to you up here.
Well, I got up here in Gainesville, and that was outdoor national, and I had a good ride so far this year. Last week I got a 4th and should have got 3rd, but I come up short on a triple, and just had bad luck. You know, I got my starts down now, so I'm coming out up in front, and it's paying off. I could definitely hang with these guys, and I expect to be up here a lot more. If it wasn't for my Suzuki and my Pro Circuit doing my bikes, and all my sponsors, Answer, Smith, MXA, Dunlop, just there's a whole pile of them, and if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be up here right now. So I'm grateful to have them behind me, and I'm happy right now.
All right, we're going to hold it to him, guys. He says he's going to be back up here more than this.
Well, he's right in the thick of the top 5 battle race as far as the point standings are concerned. As we take a look at the Suzuki point standings, Mikel Pichon now with 171 points, pulling a little bit further away from John Dowd in 2nd. Ferry's crash on the 2nd lap, and he finished way back. So maybe Ramsey, Sheik, and Deegan can put some pressure on Ferry as we have several more races to go here in the 125 East. Some happy young men celebrating a podium performance now. And when we return, it could be the highlight of the Supercross season. Will Jeremy Mcgrath win number 11 in a row? Or will his great string of victories end here in Tampa, Florida? The 250 main is next. Supercross main event. Art Ekman and David Bailey up top. And David, as we look at the main event coming up after seeing the qualifying rounds, what could possibly beat Jeremy Mcgrath on this track? Now, it looks pretty tight. It's tough to pass.
Well, I think that's it. It's very one line out there, and we've seen it happen in the starts. Whoever gets off up front, they stay there, and guys are having a tough time working their way up. If Jeremy, for instance, was to get off to a bad start like he did last week, I don't think he'd be finding it as easy to work his way to the front. The way Emmig's been getting off the line lately, it'd be tough.
We've anticipated a lot of action in the corners. Now, most of the time you see Jeremy Mcgrath not passing the corners, but yet zip by somebody.
Right. Well, he doesn't want to slow down the pace, and he doesn't want to give them a chance to retaliate either. If you remember back in San Diego when Johnson joined us on the show, he talked about the fact that when we got in a battle, we would try not to slow each other down. If we were passing each other, we'd try to do it and maintain our momentum. Always keep an eye on where the leader was, and if you're not losing time to him, nothing to be concerned about.
It'll be interesting to check out Jeremy, see if he has to block pass at one time or another to get into good position. The Suzuki 250 point standings show us graphically how dominating Jeremy Mcgrath has been. A win here tonight would eliminate Ryan Hughes, currently in 4th position, from title contention. That is an amazing fact, David.
Well, you were 2/3 of the way into the Supercross series, and we're already thinking about eliminating all but 2 riders. It's unbelievable. This guy's so dominant this year. It's mind-boggling, really.
Let's have a Dunlop track fact with Marty Reed. Marty.
In the past, we've talked about the riders being the key sometimes, the clutch, the tires, and everything. Well, this is a 1-lane racetrack. The key here tonight is going to be, are you willing to play physical? Because if you aren't very good at block passing, if you aren't willing to rub elbows, you're going to find yourself backing up very quickly.
Okay, the riders at the starting line getting ready now. Kyle Lewis on the end there, number 11 as we go down the line. Jeff Hedden, number 85. 15 is Doug Henry. 28, Bradshaw. And the Suzuki starting grid, of course, Jeremy Mcgrath, the top qualifier, with a tremendous time.
Gets first pick to the gate, and Lusk, who didn't do as well, 3rd, I think, in his heat race, 13th pick to the gate. So he's not going to get the start inside. He's actually just to the outside of the starter's box, and a lot of riders inside of him to shove him wide in that first corner.
The strategy you hear Jeremy going to... At the beginning of the show, David was saying that he likes the inside, but he's not too far to the inside on this starting block.
No, that's really a symbol of confidence, and just to line up and leave that many guys to the inside of you. You must feel like he can get off pretty good and get in front of those guys and cut them off. Windham just to the inside of Mcgrath, looked sharp in his heat race.
And then you have, of course, Ryan Hughes, and then Jeff Emig, number 2, to the inside of those.
No,
Jeff
the first
Emig,
turn's going to be tight, I can tell you.
Very quick starter. It'll be interesting to see the strategy Jeremy takes, depending on where he is by the time they hit that real tight switchback first turn.
Yeah, he just got a shot of him doing his little pre-race ritual. He kind of shakes his head, throws his fists out there. He does that every race. And it's worked so far. Sometimes you just continue to do what's been working.
Can Jeremy Mcgrath, who's out to beat the record he set in 1993 and 95 at 10 wins, win his 11th of the season?
He got pinched off.
It's Emig, number 2, with the best angle. And he is in first place with Ezra Lusk in the battle. Hughes. It is Emig and Hughes. Here's an important corner, though. Lusk trying to battle back, seals everybody off. Jeremy Mcgrath is back in 5th position.
This is interesting, Art, because the 3 fastest guys lately have been the top 3 runners at this point. Mcgrath battling for 4th with Phil Lawrence. He's around him.
Okay, the scene is set now for a tremendous race. How is Jeremy Mcgrath going to get by the 3 other fastest riders in recent races? He's got Lusk as his first target as they finish lap number 1. It is Emig. It is Hughes. It is Ezra Lusk, Jeremy Mcgrath, and Phil Lawrence, along with Greg Albertine.
And you can see right there, Lusk, right in front of Jeremy, had to just do the double. Took the inside in the corner afterwards. Jeremy doing the same thing. The first 4 pretty tight right now. This is going to be a real challenge for Mcgrath.
Doesn't this ring your memory bell right now, though, with Emig and Hughes out in front with Lusk and Jeremy Mcgrath in lap 3, remember? Oh, what a pass. Nice move by Hughes to hold on to 2nd place against Ezra Lusk. Here comes Jeremy Mcgrath. Mcgrath cuts off the Suzuki rider and moves into 3rd as the crowd is really with him.
Well, in that battle with Lusk, Hughes took the speed out of Lusk. He wasn't able to come into that triple, cased it hard. Mcgrath not following, put himself in the right place. He could have been following and he would have paid the price there.
Okay, now just like a race we remember, here comes Jeremy Mcgrath, cuts inside Ryan Hughes. He is quickly into 2nd place.
This guy's so amazing and so sneaky. Hughes had no idea he was that close. Went wide, and there's Mcgrath, cuts it off the line. And he's not losing any time to Emig, although he's had to pass several fast guys. He's not lost any time in the leader.
Now Emig has crashed twice this year while in the lead. Will he start feeling this pressure?
Well, this is a real test now. I'm sure he's going to feel it. You know, but when you line up on the starting line, you're going to feel pressure from Jeremy. There's no question about that. The question is can Hughes stay with Jeremy, put a little pressure on him?
Okay, it's Emig. Mcgrath closing in on Emig as they go to the finish line jump. Isn't quite ready to take him, but it could happen anytime. Let's go down. Wait. Jeremy Mcgrath. A pass on the same corner that he passed Hughes. Here comes Emig right back. Emig gets caught up in the hay bale. He goes down, and Jeremy Mcgrath looks behind to see just what happened. Mcgrath is in first, but Hughes is pretty close in 2nd.
Hughes has a great opportunity here, and once again, Emick, so desperate to try to do anything to get by Mcgrath, blows it all away in the first few laps of the race. He's crashed again.
Ryan Hughes taking a second place in Dallas and a third place in Houston and a fourth place as we go to the replay.
Emick just tried to get back in there and cut him off. The hay bale hooked up on his motorcycle, and as he tried to go, he had nowhere to put his foot. Went down.
And Jeremy Mcgrath, meanwhile, heads to the finish line jump, ready to lap his first rider, Kyle Lewis, who is just in quite a bit of pain. He's been bounced around a lot lately.
Now look at this. Jeremy was only able to do the double. Ryan Hughes was only able to do the double as well. Hughes took the outside that time. I thought he would do the triple, make up a little bit of time. Hughes has the speed to stay with Mcgrath, but can he do it for 20 laps? I have no idea.
Mcgrath 2 seconds ahead of Ryan Hughes. Let's go down to Marty.
Guys, one of the things that's interesting on Jeremy's bike, I talked to Skip Norfolk right before the start. He said he taped up the air duct. We have a threat of rain. They were worried that it would be very costly if it got wet. Now, that would have a bit of an effect on horsepower, but so far, you'd have a tough time convincing me it's hurting Jeremy Mcgrath.
Well, when they cover up that air box, you lose a little bit of that snap in the bike. It also changes the tone of it. It's obviously not affected Jeremy. And it's really a smart decision on Honda's part to take that precaution in case it was a downpour. That's the only thing that could take Jeremy out of this race.
Well, it would take an awful lot of rain, though, to do something like that and hinder this performance right now in a short period of time. That's for sure.
Hughes is still staying pretty close with Jeremy, and if he can stay like that, oh, it's going to be interesting when they get into lap riders down towards the end of the race.
Mcgrath really hasn't changed much throughout the seasons with his success, but this season it's obvious he is much more relaxed than ever before.
A lot of people can see that, you know, my attitude's been different over the years towards the racing. At 93 was having a lot of fun. 94 was ho-hum year for me. You know, I wasn't into it as much as I probably should have. 95 was the best year of my life towards racing. I mean, great year, couldn't have been better. And I think I've been in the position where the pressure's been there enough times now where it just doesn't bother me anymore. And I think that's definitely one of the contributions to my win streak now.
Damon Huffman, as we take a look at the leader, Jeremy Mcgrath, went down and went down hard. He is still, you see it just breeze by your picture there as Jeremy will come back through. The yellow flag out, and Damon Huffman is still down on the ground. Meanwhile, Jeremy Mcgrath continues to tool away as we see Huffman and his classic number 10. That sore wrist, but it looks like he's holding a leg with that sore wrist.
Yeah, I sure hate to see it. You know, anything can happen out of there. A lot of times these guys lay there a little while and they get right up, and Huffman's been having trouble lately. Windham now is really starting to put on a charge. He's riding so good. Look, he squares off.
This is the battle for third as they come over the finish line jump. Kevin Windham in front of Lusk.
And what's interesting is now that...
Oh, Lusk get a good cut and good drive out of the rough.
Well, I was just about to say, I was surprised that it's a triple. Normally, the riders do the triple. Now, tonight, they're not doing the triple. It's faster to take the inside, not do the triple, take the inside afterwards, and these guys are going back and forth.
Kevin Windham doing a great job on a 250, the 125 West rider. And, of course, Ezra Lusk won the 125, one of the divisions, before he stepped up to the 250 ranks last year.
And these guys are about 8 or 9 seconds behind Ryan Hughes, who's still staying pretty close to Jeremy. If he can stay like that and they get into lappers, things can really get interesting towards the end.
Yeah, Lusk won the 125 West. I can remember in Las Vegas when he capped things out. Let's go down to Marty Reed.
Well, Ed Longacre, he is watching his man through the turn that's right in front of us. He's got a good position right now in third, but boy, he's got his hands full.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys right behind him. He just needs to settle down a little bit and try to get away from these guys that are battling.
Are you happy with the way he's riding?
Yes and no. Third place is nice, but I need him to settle down and try to get away, and I'd be a lot happier.
Yeah. Ed Longacre, he wants to concentrate on his man. He's in third, but he's got pressure.
We'll have to check who's still in the race, but with Damon Huffman down, if Huffman is no higher than 18th, he's second place in the points going into the race, but he would be eliminated from title contention.
Completely. And he'll probably lose quite a bit if not lose second place in the series to his teammate Emig. Swink starting to put a little pressure on Larocco now. They're right behind Lusk. Actually,
that's a battle for sixth place, David.
Yeah, Larocco's starting to pick up time on Lusk.
Okay, back with the race to the checkers in Tampa in a moment.
Track and all jam-packed on 2 tapes for only $19.95. Order now and get absolutely free the new Extreme Sports Virtual Reality featuring insane extreme sports from around.
Here's Larocco and Lusk. That was a pass for third. I was one position back, but Larocco now looking for his best race of the season.
Well, he's been on the podium a couple of times, but this is third place. Another podium finish for him. Long ways to go up to Ryan Hughes, but
this is amazing.
Yeah,
Larocco got a last place start in qualifying here tonight, and he is now in third position behind Ryan Hughes and Jeremy Mcgrath.
Yeah, I was thinking Lusk might be able to continue to be a threat to Larocco, but Larocco came from off the pace, caught these guys and passed them, has a little breathing room now, so I would imagine he'd stay there.
Okay, Jeremy Mcgrath, Ryan Hughes, then Larocco, and Lusk in that order. And Brian Swink is behind him. There you see Larocco coming through the whoops. Lusk is losing some time to him.
Different places on the racetrack. Lusk gains a little ground, then he loses some time. The track in the groove is starting to get very slick. I noticed just a moment ago watching Mcgrath, he's starting to go out into that dark loam and find the traction, and Ryan Hughes picked up on it. He's using the same lines Mcgrath is. He's not losing very much time.
In case you just tuned in, it's Jeremy Mcgrath with a 4.5-second lead on Ryan Hughes. This is the battle for third. Mike Larocco, who has had trouble all season long. First of all, he came back starting the season not quite up to par physically after having reconstructive knee surgery in the offseason from an injury from the Nationals. And he was just getting back to a good position when he had all kinds of bike problems.
Ned Longacre, the mechanic for Lusk, saying, get him, you can. He's trying to do anything he can. Tell his rider, look, you got the speed, you got the confidence. 2 fourths and a third the past 3 weeks. Get this guy. Stay on the podium.
Emig has moved up to 7th. He needs to keep climbing or he'll get eliminated from title contention.
There's Mcgrath out front. He's got a good, comfortable lead over Hughes. But nothing's for sure. You see him, he looked over as we put up the Honda stopwatch. There's Hughes.
Honda stopwatch to check out the interval.
About 4 seconds. It's been the same ever since about the 3rd lap. It hasn't changed much at all, and that's good for Ryan. Stay up there. If anything happens to Jeremy, he could inherit the lead.
14.2, back to 3rd.
That's an eternity on the Supercross track. You can't even see where the next guy is. You just feel like you're out there racing by yourself. And here's that section again where these guys don't triple it anymore. They're doing the inside before the triple, which doesn't give them the run at it. They do the double, then they use the inside again. There's that, what I talked about, Mcgrath squaring off in that loose loam, staying off that slick surface because he can't get a run to do that tricky little step up.
Well, tonight for Jeremy Mcgrath, it would be career win number 40 in 56 starts. As we check out the lap time, 50.6.
That's about what it was in practice in the heat race. This guy could turn 50-second lap times for about an hour, I think. He's so consistent. Now, little mistakes here and there starting to drop Ryan Hughes farther and farther behind Mcgrath, but still a fine ride in second. He's got a big lead over Larocco. Larocco's actually starting to make a little bit of time on Hughes. He can see him as he enters this whoop section. He can see Hughes at the end, so that's going to give him a little incentive. But
Hughes over the finish line jump.
Long ways to go, though, to try to catch him.
6 seconds in front of Larocco as we take a look at a former teammate being lapped, Doug Henry. Jeremy Mcgrath is smooth as ice.
Like watching Pichon in the 125, no mistakes. Lines are all coming together. He's timing everything perfect. Bradshaw starting to put some pressure on Larry Ward now. This Emig, who went down earlier, he's trying to climb his way back up.
It looks like he's now in 6th position, but battling right there with Larry Ward, number 6, getting out in front. Emig trying to climb back up. By our unofficial calculation, he would just move into 5th.
Yeah, Larry Ward trying to do everything he could to hold Emig back there. He tried to park him, and Emig was smart. He cut underneath him and was still able to do the triple. Now you can see the difference, how much lead he's got over Ward now.
Emig, number 2, was leading this race until he went down, caught a hay bale, and now has had to fight his way all the way back.
See Emig looking over on that finish line jump to see where everyone is, whose next victim will be.
Let's go to Marty Reed.
Well, we're down here with Jerry Albrecht. Bad break for Jeff right now, but got to fight his way.
Yeah, there's a lot of good guys out there. You need to start. He had to start. He made a mistake and bumped Jeremy, but he knows what it takes. He'll get back up there.
I'll tell you what, guys, he's got to finish 7th or better, or the season's over for him as far as the championship is concerned.
Yeah.
Emig in 6th position behind Bradshaw. In 7th position it should be.
So just about with Huffman down and Emig way back, he could just about eliminate everybody but Hughes. Actually, Hughes would be eliminated, so Jeremy could wrap the title up right now.
He could wrap the title up if it stays like it is.
That would be unbelievable. 4 races to go to wrap up the title. I don't think that's ever happened in the history of motocross or supercross.
Now, when Bob Haney wrapped up his titles early, he kind of liked to go fishing or hunting, didn't he?
He did a lot of hunting. He had, usually the last race was in the LA Coliseum, and he had some differences with the promoter, and he usually wouldn't show up for that one. He didn't have to. He had
right now, this guy could create history, though.
Well, this is every race, as he pointed out earlier after his heat race, talking with Marty, every race has been a record breaker for him. And
he could set a Cal Ripken record here if he wins them all.
Oh, I don't see the end anywhere in sight either. I mean, he's still young. A little mistake there. He can afford it now. He's got about an 8 or 10 second lead now over Ryan Hughes. Not that much time left. As long as he just keeps it on 2 wheels and rides decent, he should be able to hang on to that lead. And no mistakes from this guy.
Should Hughes hold on, it would also equal his best finish of the year, the 2nd place in Dallas. Look at the smoothness on those wicked whoops.
You know, when he does make a little mistake, he doesn't lose much time. You know, I say no mistakes, I mean no major mistakes. Nothing that's like Emig. You know, he had a chance to get up there and run with Jeremy and tried to make it all happen in the first couple of laps and went down. And that's going through his mind right now. The whole rest of the race, he's going to be kicking himself. Why did I try to go for it right there? Same thing like Houston with Ryan Hughes. Bad decisions, and it's because they feel the pressure. You know, you hear him in tennis saying when you play against Agassi or Sampras, when they're on, you feel like you got to place your shot so perfect. You go for so much on the shot, you hit it out. The unforced errors really is what's taking these guys out of the race before the halfway point. Jeremy never really has to be riding hard at the end. He can just cruise home to the finish.
Well, Emig has not made up much ground on Bradshaw as we take a look at Ryan Hughes, Emig's teammate, in 2nd place. And he's pretty much cruising right now, looking for his equaling his best finish.
You know what, though? You look back over his shoulder, Larocco is still gaining. He had that whole whoop section lead. Only a lap to go, I believe. Larocco's pretty close.
Final lap. Hughes in 2nd place. Larocco in 3rd. Lusk in 4th.
Hughes may be able to pick up 2nd in the standings if Emig doesn't get on the stick, and with Huffman out, looks like Jeremy might just be the 96 Supercross champ.
We'll have to check with the AMA to officially get those points to see how far down it takes for Jeremy on the other riders to wrap up this grind.
That triple is really close to the stadium wall. Those fans getting a close-up view of that knack-knack.
This is the last lap. It's almost over. Counting motocross and supercross, the last 17 times Mcgrath has put his bike at the main event gate, he has won. 17 races in a row without losing, counting motocross. The checkered flag for Jeremy Mcgrath. It is his 40th career win.
And a Superman over the finish line and jump. How fitting is that?
It doesn't matter what kind of track, what kind of condition, who's in front of him, who's in back of him. This guy is the greatest of all time.
Well, he had everybody right there in front of him and passed them so quickly. I mean, they didn't even have a chance to even realize he was behind him. He passed them all so quick, put the passes on in a place where I didn't really think there'd be that much passing going on, and made it work. Carved his way right to the front, put the pressure on everybody else.
What would be interesting is to find out where everyone else finished. I think the second in points, Huffman, has already been eliminated. When he went down, he had to get at least an 18th position.
I believe Hughes.
Now, what will be
also,
interesting to find out is where Emick finished.
He might still be hanging on to it by the skin of his teeth. Couple points.
Well, we'll check with the official scorekeepers when we come back here in Tampa Stadium to see if this man is once again the Supercross champion.
This is the future of workout. New Endurox, the natural workout supplement.
Jeff, Jeremy, you have done it again. Thank you for allowing us to share this. Did you, at any moment in that early go of the race, think that maybe 11 wasn't going to happen tonight?
Well, last week I felt that it might not happen, because the track was really rutted. But tonight I felt really good in practice. Jeff from Show set up my bike great, and my program with Gary Semick that we've been doing all year, I've been really getting a chance to hit it 2 times a week, and it's paying off. I felt confident out there, and I had no thought that I wasn't going to win.
Is that, we talked about it before, that it wasn't cockiness, that it's reality for you. I mean, you go into every race honestly believing this is your event, and everybody else has got to take it away from you. When's it going to end? There's 4 more to go. Can you win them all?
I think I can. I think, my main concern is to get a good start, and the rest will take care of itself. I work hard all week, and if I'm going to be here, I'm going to be the one to win the races. And if I'm doing what it takes, and these guys are catching up slowly but surely, but, I'm just still 1 step ahead, I think.
This is number 40 out of 56. Let's move over to second place, because I know Ryan Hughes would have liked to have closed out the streak, but it's going to have to go next week to Pontiac. You were talking about you got a severe case of arm pump there. Was that the difference in this race?
Well, I was kind of fighting the track a little bit all night. I didn't really feel the most comfortable through the whoops like I usually do, but I rode the best I could. Jeremy rode a really good race. I was on him, the first half of the race, but at the end my arms started pumping, and I think it'd be better to finish second than mid-pack and lose a lot of points. I rode good, and I'm just hoping to finish off the season as strong as I did, maybe a little stronger.
What about the rest of the season? I mean, it's like he honestly just said it. He thinks he can win the other 4 races. Is there anybody in your group that can take it away and stop the streak?
Well, I think we can. We just got to ride, a little better than we are. I think, I think like Jeff today, he rushed it again. Like I've been saying, that Jeremy lets the race come to him, and Jeff blew it. I was up there, but I rode a little tight, so I guess I blew it too. I'm just going to have to ride a little stronger maybe, and hopefully I can get a win from him.
Well, as we switch over to Mike Larocco in third place, for some maybe new viewers, we talk about the arm pump. That's where your arms feel like they're as big as Popeyes, but there's no spinach. Now, nice performance, because it has been a long, hard season for you. What was the difference tonight?
Well, actually, I made a big change in my bike. Actually, I went back to a standard setting, like you can get off the showroom floor, and I felt a lot more comfortable with it. We were, trying too many things during the year. I wasn't comfortable, and we kept switching, and it never got any better. So, I started over. I feel good again, and we're going to go from there.
Are you going to leave the bike alone now?
I don't know. I'd like to do a little bit to it, but I'm not going to make any drastic changes.
I got to tell you, all of our hearts sunk for you, because we know how hard you guys have been working, especially in the heat race when, right off the starting line, it just died.
Yeah, actually, that was my fault. We changed a clutch and right before the heat race, and I didn't get used to it, and it grabbed a lot more than I was used to. So, that was kind of both a little bit of my fault and, somewhat of a dork out. But, I feel a little better tonight after this race, and I'm going to try and carry that on to the future.
Well, you're going to get to grab some champagne now, because they're ready to do the honors, and that means I am getting out of here, guys. See ya.
That's the first time I've seen Marty run away from champagne. Well, it was an interesting race in that Jeremy Mcgrath proves once again how great a rider he is. Jeff Emick had his shot, and I think Ryan Hughes put it very succinctly. As we take a look at the unofficial look at the point standings, Mcgrath with 275 points, and the runner-up now moving into second is Jeff Emick with 176, and with 100 points left, that's a 1-point deficit. So Mcgrath just missed wrapping up the title here by 1 point.
Hughes rode good. I know he looks disappointed. I think he's just disappointed that his arms pumped up, because he felt like he could have gone up there and challenged Mcgrath a little bit. But You know, he said it perfect. Emick tried to rush things, didn't let the race come to him, and Ryan's learned his lesson. He's been up there second and on the podium a few times, and maybe in the weeks to come he'll get it all figured out and ride more relaxed. You know, Mcgrath has so much confidence. I don't think arm pump ever even enters into his mind.
Well, he even got Larocco to smile there on the podium for once. And it was interesting to what Mike said about not changing the bike. Ezra Lusk didn't change the bike much. Greg Albertine didn't change his Suzuki very much. And they